Joe Brady is under fire, and this is absolutely insane. Sean McDermott, the head coach of the Buffalo Bills, has decided to still stick by Joe Brady despite the offense's outlandish struggles over the past several weeks and really throughout the entire season. And after a loss against the Houston Texans, fans are growing impatient. And I see your guys' comments on our past videos all saying, fire Joe Brady. This is on Joe Brady. Well, this is the video for you. So stick with us here because we've got you covered for all of the Joe Brady news, how likely it is that he ends up being fired, and what exactly has gone wrong for this Buffalo Bills offense, because it has been a little bit of a nightmare this season. They're still 7-4, but certainly some things that Bills fans have every right to be upset about. Well, let's dive right into it. But before we do, we have 1,674 subscribers, and in just over a week, we've gained almost 200 subscribers. So just a phenomenal job by you guys hitting that subscribe button, and hopefully you guys have been enjoying our Bills content. Now, as we get into this, just a little bit of a heads up. You see this is a different background for me. I'm actually in the basement of my aunt and uncle's house here for Thanksgiving, and happy Thanksgiving to everybody watching this video. If you are in America, if you're in Canada, you had your Thanksgiving about a month ago, but still very thankful for all of you guys that give this channel support. Now, enough with the yapping on my front. Let's get into what you guys clicked on this video for, and that is for this man right here. Joe Brady has had a very up and down tenure as the Buffalo Bills offensive coordinator. He has been, glorified in some ways. When he came over, he was kind of a savior for Ken Dorsey, who was just a horrible offensive coordinator. Joe Brady is definitely leaps and bounds better than Ken Dorsey, but things are starting to grow stale with Bills Mafia and the Bills offensive play caller, because they have struggled mightily, especially with a lack of wide receivers getting the job done. Now, one reason for this is someone that we just saw get released for the Buffalo Bills, and if I can find the graphic, that's Elijah Moore. Sorry about that. But Elijah Moore was just released by the Buffalo Bills after they traded for Brandon Cooks, and that led a lot of people to be outraged, saying, oh, well, Elijah Moore wasn't very good, and others had a different stance. And this is the stance that I really wanted to highlight. Stephon Diggs, Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore, Curtis Samuel, all of them reliable veteran receivers who regressed with Joe Brady as their offensive coordinator. Now, you could point to, Father Time being a big, aspect of why these receivers did not pan out, but specifically with Elijah Moore and Curtis Samuel, they were not very old when they came to Buffalo. And Stephon Diggs, he has since been phenomenal with the Patriots this year. He looks rejuvenated and doesn't look like he's missed a beat at all since being with the Bills and having his best years with Brian Daboll as the OC. And even with two significant injuries, he has been very successful. And Bills fans are starting to kind of say, oh, wow, maybe Stephon Diggs was right. Maybe this offense is not going in the right direction under Joe Brady. And that's a very fair criticism at this point. And it just made matters worse on Thursday when DeMeco Ryans and the Houston Texans dialed up some ridiculous pressure on Josh Allen. The Bills had no solution to the Texans pass rush the entire game. 8 sacks, which was a career high for Josh Allen. And DeMeco Ryans had some very interesting quotes after the game. And Bills fans took it this way. He said, usually we get a lot of chip blocks, a lot of 7-man protection schemes against us, but they put a lot on Josh Allen's plate, basically saying, I don't know what they were doing, but they didn't bring 7-man protection. They were pretty much sitting one-on-one in protection the entire game, and that is why guys like Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter, and company were able to wreak havoc on the offensive side of the football, and that is why D'Amico Ryans kind of went on this radio show and was like, yeah, like, I don't know what was happening with the Buffalo Bills scheme. It was really not centered around stopping their elite pass rush. And he has every right, and Bills fans have been, just been louder when it comes to the Joe Brady firing, potential firing at least. And I think the biggest moment from this Texans game that has Bills fans, fully convinced that Joe Brady needs to be fired is this moment here. This was after the 4th and 1 that the Bills decided to do a bit of a delayed handoff to James Cook up the middle, and the Texans, they sniffed it out immediately. It was not even close to working. And as Allen was sitting on the bench, you could see the camera catching him saying, "What are we doing?" And those were the words out of Josh Allen's mouth to the backup quarterback, Mitch Trubisky. Now, since this moment, Josh Allen has defended his offensive coordinator, saying, well, this actually was before this moment, but he said that I'm extremely confident in Joe, love him like a brother. He has been awesome for my career. After the game, he also had some similar comments saying it was just a heat of the moment. He didn't get the play call in time, and Josh blamed himself, saying, that was on me. I need to call timeout in that situation, but that's just not true. They're in the third quarter. That would have been totally wasting a timeout, and playing from behind, you can't afford to waste a timeout for a moment like that. That should have been an easy play call for the Bills. Give Josh Allen the football, drive him up the middle, and see what he can do, because he is an animal. He's a freight train, and 4th and 1, you almost never stop the Buffalo Bills. So just an inexcusable play call by Joe Brady. And fans have voiced their displeasure in other methods as well. You see Joe Brady when he calls a wide receiver screen, more. That Kylo Ren meme that we've seen, just one of the big critiques of Joe Brady is that he calls the same play over and over and over and over. And teams are starting to read it, and we've seen lots of teams jump on the screen pass. We saw it against the Texans when Will Anderson just jumped up in the air, nearly intercepted the screen pass from Josh Allen because he knew it was coming. Another one of the interceptions came in a very similar way. So they're becoming a very predictable offense, and it's very frustrating. But even through the struggles, even Sean McDermott has defended Joe Brady. This one was after the Texans game. He said he's still fully confident in Joe Brady and the offensive staff, but didn't acknowledge that him saying that doesn't mean that there aren't adjustments that need to be made. So this game against the Steelers is going to be huge, because the Steelers are a very poor passing defense. They have improved recently with some new acquisitions. They got Kyle Duggar. Jalen Ramsey is healthy. They having TJ Watt going against a backup tackle this week, whether it's Vandemark or Grable for the Bills with Spencer Brown injured. That is going to be a big time advantage for them that the Bills will have to figure out how to stop. So two very important things to keep an eye on in that game. But the reality of the situation is this: Joe Brady has struggled mightily, and we are starting to see a trend with the wide receivers coming into this system and having their all career worst years. Now, there have been moments, and I get that Josh Allen is all about the everybody eats mantra, but at a certain point, you can't reason with that, because it gets to the point where when the offense just isn't successful, you can't say that everybody eats works, because they are just not getting open. They are not finding ways to get their receivers open in any sort of creative fashion. Every once in a while, we'll see a great play that usually involves James Cook getting the football in open space, because he is by far our best player on offense right now. But it just doesn't happen enough. And a lot of it is going to depend on on the playoffs and the end of the season, because the sense of urgency is up. We've seen Josh Allen say it. We've seen Sean McDermott say it. They need to get going offensively if they want a chance to do anything come playoff time, because the clock is ticking on these guys. There's only so long you can go where guys like Sean McDermott, guys like Joe Brady, guys like even Brandon Beane are going to get leeway to make a Super Bowl. They haven't done it in this window of Josh Allen, and you only get a quarterback like this maybe once or twice in your franchise's history. Probably just once, though. So, they need to get going. They have not done a good enough job. Joe Brady is under fire, but let me know in the comments. Should the Bills fire Joe Brady? And who would you like to see as the next offensive coordinator of the Buffalo Bills? Let me know in the comments. Leave a like and subscribe, because we have plenty of Bills content coming for you. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Have a good day with your families. Hopefully, if you're watching this video, it's with your families on your TV or something like that. But go Bills, and happy Thanksgiving.